Health and Fitness with David Hollywood with the all-new Midlands Park Health and Fitness Club, midlandsparkhotel.com. Midlands 103.
Hello and welcome to this week's programme. Let's take a look at what's coming up on the show. You're about to meet an Offaly woman who's helping young ladies in the county realise their dreams through sport. We talk to the first Irish father and son to climb Mount Everest, and you'll hear the latest on the Portlaoise Panthers campaign to bring the people of Portlaoise the sports facilities they need. Saturday, June 8th, a championship final involving Offaly. It is not the Joe McDonagh Cup, but it is indeed the Offaly Under-14s ladies football team in an All-Ireland final against Donegal. I'm very glad to say coach and mentor from the team, Imelda Coughlin, joins us on Health and Fitness this evening. Imelda, a big congratulations, and you're very welcome to the programme.
Thanks, David. Great to be here.
So, look, that's a phenomenal achievement for any group, any team to get to an All-Ireland final. It does mean that there's a great story behind the girls already, considering they've got to this point. Talk us through what they've had to do to reach this national final.
Okay, yeah, an absolute, unreal journey we're after having with these group of amazing girls. I suppose I can start by saying we got this team together, 30 girls, in early December. And we were really, really happy with the girls that we chose for our panel. Started off with our training sessions. After a few training sessions, I suppose just before Christmas, we would have, spoke to the girls and said, look, this is our plan. This is our plan for the next 6-7 months. Are you on board? Do you want to take it on? It's a really good challenge, but it's doable, okay? And we like to tell the girls and reassure them if they put the hard work in, if they trust in us, trust the process, they really do reap the rewards, and which they have on this journey. We set up a parents group, WhatsApp group, just to keep parents in the loop of everything that's going on. Communication is a massive thing when you're dealing with sports and teams. And I suppose we communicated our plan to the parents as well, because we need them on board. We only have access to the girls 2 or 3 training sessions a week. We want full communication. So we would give the parents our plan. We talked about nutrition, about getting fitter, about our S&C. S&C has become a very valuable part of being a county player. So your strength and conditioning. We would have done that in the early season in the hall in Clara. And the girls proved, wow, their strength, early on was so good. But they had development last year. They were with an Offaly development team.
Okay.
Enda Dunn would have been a big part of that, and he put great work into the girls. So we were so happy with what we saw early on. That was our plan. Every week we turned up to training, the girls turned up to training. We had some really tough training sessions with really bad weather. We find it tough getting pitches in Offaly ladies football. We don't have as much access, I suppose, as the lads would. But we've really good backroom team who do their best to get us our pitches. Like that, kept doing our training sessions. That led us up to, I suppose, the first round in Leinster, where we met a few teams, and that brought us to our Leinster final, where we met Westmeath.
There's already so much work gone in before you get to the competition. Yeah. Isn't that remarkable? The amount of planning, communication, logistics and training and effort on everybody's part, from those young ladies to yourselves and the parents, as you quite rightly underlined. Yeah. It's a huge amount of work. And then the games, the matches, I guess, they're the reward for all of that work.
Absolutely. There is massive stuff going on in the background. We don't get to these venues without somebody organising a bus, organising the pitch, organising referees. It's massive. And I remember, just talking back to last year, there was only 3 of us looking after an under-14s team last year. And I would say every year things are getting better. So good with the County Board in Offaly. This year there was myself, Peter Toohey, he's the manager, Richie Dunn from Ballycumber, and then Niamh and Teresa came on board to help us out. They're fantastic. They're like the mammies, the organisers. It's taken a lot of work away from me, so I can concentrate more on coaching with girls and the motivation and the S&C. So you do. The more people you have around you, everything just works so much easier. You've more people organising things for you, so things run smoothly for you. Do you know?
You had the Leinster final then against Westmeath.
That was one of those days, a wow day. The weather was just absolutely fabulous. Sun was shining. parents, families, grandparents, uncles, aunties, cousins, they were all there supporting us. We had a really, really good feeling. Us as coaches knew this bunch of girls, oh my God, the work they've put in. And they had this belief in themselves. We just knew it. We knew it with the sing-song on the bus, all this kind of stuff. Rocked up against Westmeath, our neighbours. And God, from the word go, they had a serious, serious game. They just never let up. And we did win by a big margin. Can't remember the score. There's a lot of scores to remember. What a joyous day that was. I mean, families like in tears of pure and utter joy, and the girls, I mean, the friendships they have, it's massive.
And at that point then, Leinster champions, the eyes move on to the All-Ireland, and obviously we're talking today because they got to the All-Ireland final. What was the pathway through there? It was semi-final victory over Down.
Yeah, and we had, so you're kind of put into a group stage, and our first group stage was Carlow and Louth, and we won those 2 games that day. Tough weather conditions as well, freezing cold. Then we went on and we played Wicklow in the quarter-final. That was the day of Storm Kathleen. So we were like, will this go ahead? Our warm-up, let's just say the footballs were not actually, doing what they were supposed to be doing. There was jackets blowing around the place. But look, there was an inspection done and they were happy enough. And, this is what's great being with brilliant coaches and managers is tactics. This is where tactics come in. So you know what girls you need to play what half, because you have to make a certain amount of changes. This is a part of the rules, and this is what's fantastic about having a panel of 30 girls. I mean, a lot of people talk about your best 15. I can genuinely sit here and say these 30 girls are massive. We don't even like calling subs. We call them impact players. We call them game changers. Okay, so we have to make our move on who you playing in this half, who you playing in that half. Okay, and that's what we had to do that day with Wicklow, especially because of the wind and what way you were going to be playing. Another great win for us. That pushed us on to the semi-final. No, actually, sorry. We did. Who did we meet? So we had Wicklow. Then we had Louth. We actually had Louth in our quarter-final. Sorry, Wicklow was one of the stages. We were looking forward to it. We knew it wasn't going to be an easy game. We told the girls this is going to be one of their tough battles. But like they always do, they just rock up. We had the big sing-song. The girls were really, really revved up out onto the pitch. Louth got on top first in the first 10 minutes. And then I think once we got on top, we stayed that way. We just kept ploughing on, kept working hard, made changes that we needed to make. That was a brilliant, brilliant day because we were up in Trim and our dressing rooms there was only a bathroom separating both teams, Louth and Offaly. And we continued with our sing-song afterwards with our fantastic song Unstoppable by Sia. The girls know it off by heart, and we invited the Louth girls in to join in the sing song, and before you knew it they were singing every kind of song that they knew together, and it was just brilliant. And that's what's so fantastic about ladies football, especially this age group under 14. You're trying to show them that you can still play really hard football and be against another team, but I mean you build massive camaraderie and friendships through football as well.
It's a couple of times you've mentioned had music in the background in the build-up after the game. Just how important is the singing and the songs and that side of things for this group?
Okay, so like on our first bus journey, one of the girls brought a speaker and they had a playlist. And in most teams you do have the general 5 or 6 girls that are, the good, strong personalities, and they start playing the music. But sure, I mean, it was all the music I love. They actually love a lot of our generational music. Like they were playing ABBA. They were playing some of the 90s classics as well. And it actually brings everybody together because there are similarities with songs that they like. So before you know it, even the quiet girls are singing the songs and they're joining in. I'm on the bus, I'm singing along. I love singing. So that it kind of grew from there. And then we were on a bus journey with buggies. We always have buggies bus, but this guy in particular, Leo, shout out to Leo, has a speaker strapped into his bus, and the music just got louder. And there was a specific song I remember hearing on the way to a race one morning, that song Unstoppable. And I asked the girls, listen to this song, listen to the lyrics, let that, sink in and motivate you as well. It's a really good song to sing before a match. And I suppose it just grew from there. So now it's like our little routine, singing on the bus. We come off the bus singing, we're in the dressing room singing, and the minute they arrive at the pitch, they just switch on. They're so focused.
I do wonder, as you talk and as I reflect on having watched women's sport over the last number of years, if men could possibly learn something from how women approach the game. Because I don't know if you remember when the Irish women's team made the World Cup final in hockey, they were renowned for singing Aran Naveen with a huge smile on their face. And they said they're going into every game with joy in their heart, and that's what's carrying them through. And it's just like what you described there as well, that teams afterwards can join together and sing together, and your team are always singing beforehand. Having been part of men's teams in different codes of sport, song is not a part of it, let's say. It just speaks to the difference, but also we always think that the women's sport needs to come up to the men's level in some respects, but it's already far ahead in other respects.
I think so. Like I understand, like I'm around a lot of male coaches in club, and in my job as well with Offaly GA, I'm around a lot of male coaches with development squads, and and I see that, and I see how things are done, and I learn so much from all these coaches. I'm always learning, and I think every coach should always want to learn and keep wanting to learn. You're never done learning. When I see some of the development squads, I pick up some of the things from the coaches. Yeah, would you love the lads to, come down our route with the sing song? But I mean, if you look at, I suppose I'm talking about soccer, like United, any of the Premiership players, a lot of them have the headphones in and they're listening, to some music. Yeah. They're listening to motivational speakers. If something works, keep trying it, or try something out, try something different, see if it works. Definitely works for this group of girls.
A final point on music. I understand there might be a bit of an anthem cooking in honour of the fact that they've made their way to this All-Ireland final. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so I suppose there was a bit of a running joke. One of the girls on our team, Mella Casey, her dad is Simon Casey. And yeah, Mella was always the girl with the microphone and the speaker on the bus.
Okay.
Yeah, so she did kind of say to him at one stage, Daddy, if we keep getting further now, you're going to have to think up of a song. And one of the coaches, Richie Dunn, he's actually from Ballycumber and he's very familiar with Simon. And he caught him there at the semi-final and said, I think that song is well and truly due. So, yes, Simon arrived to our training session last night and informed us that himself and the wonderful Paul Skelton pulled an all-nighter and pulled a song together for us. And he actually played it in the dressing room last night and it's unreal. It's fantastic.
What were the reactions of the team to know that their team had got given that level of quality and attention?
Oh, I mean, the girls were just ecstatic. They were like, because it's like, don't get me wrong, it's great about the boys, but we all know the girls are going around singing all those songs that the boys, the songs that have been made up for the boys in the years they've gone to finals. They just feel like, wow, we are so lucky. And like, imagine somebody actually went about and making a song for us, like for us going to an All-Ireland final. They're on this serious buzz, like, and they're just so happy and so grateful. That's what I love about this bunch of girls.
Okay, and when we come back, we are going to be looking at the value of coaching young people, what it means to be a mentor, what it means to be a role model, and how you go about coaching coaches to carry out those responsibilities. But as we head into the break, we're going to hear that song from Simon Casey and Paul Skelton. This is Offaly Heroes.
Health and fitness with the newly refurbished Midlands Park Health and Fitness Club. Take the plunge in a new routine with our swimming pool, plunge pool, jacuzzi, sauna and steam room. For more, visit midlandsparkhotel.com. Midlands 103.
It's a busy couple of weeks for Offaly GA fans between the under-20s final this weekend, Joe McDonagh Cup final, and a massive game for the Offaly ladies football teams under-14s against Donegal in Carrigal Leitrim at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Coach and mentor with the team, Imelda Coughlin, is in studio with us on Health and Fitness this evening. Imelda, before the break, we were saying we're going to get into talking about coaching and the value of it. So, to get the ball rolling on this part of the chat, just tell us why you think coaches are important, what you think is important about coaches in our children's lives.
Okay, I suppose I find myself in a very lucky position that I work for Offaly GA and I'm a participation officer and a nursery coordinator. So I get to go in and I get to go to primary schools and I coach the kids. And when we say a GAA coach, it's it's not all about GAA skill and drills. It's about the fun elements, okay? So that's how, like, we need our kids to enjoy the sports they're involved in. It has to be about fun. So we do a lot of fun games based around our fundamental movements, and you are actually incorporating skills without the kids actually realising that's what they're doing. So it's not like get behind a cone, run from this to that. It's all fun games. They love it. Any of the schools I go to, as soon as they see me come in, it's like, yes, Imelda's here. Yeah, that's nice to hear. But you know, it's because they enjoy the games that they're playing. It's not often you would hear the word, oh. You have probably one kid that's just tired from running around after a lunch break. So look, I mean, you need to be a good listener. You need to be a good communicator. You need to love what you're doing. You need to have a bit of passion. You need to know that what you're doing for these kids, it could be the best thing to have going on all day. You know, I often say to some of my other coaching friends or anybody of my work colleagues, if you think of a kid arriving to a coaching session or a practice session or club training, you want them to arrive knowing that they're going to have fun with their coach. Their coach is pretty sound. Yeah, some age groups, they will have to work a bit of, you know, the hard stuff, but there's always going to be an element of fun, that you're an approachable coach. You know, if there's something going on, maybe you feel it's okay, you can go up and chat to them. Look, my leg is sore, or I have a headache, or I had a bad day today, so this is not going to be a good session for me. You know, that a child, no matter what age, feels it's okay to approach their coach and let them know what's going on. That's it, fun. You know, I work alongside Mairead Daly. She's out travelling in Australia. I got to work alongside her there for 6 months. And this girl won All Irelands. She's played sport, hurling or camogie and football all her days. She always said her coach was fun. Worked hard, worked really, really hard, but there was the fun element, and that's what kept her going, you know. So you do have to be that fun coach, the goofy coach, regardless of what age group you're coaching. You have to be prepared as a coach. You have to be organised. But you also have to back yourself that what you're coaching the kids is the right thing that you're coaching them. You know, you have to do your own homework. I always tell the kids when they turn up, you know, if something's not working for them, okay, go home and practice this for the next 2 days, and when you come back, show me what you're after, you know, trying out. And you'll get those kids that come back and they say, watch, look, I practiced this and it's working for me now. You know, give them a little bit of belief that you believe in them. You can't tell a child to go home and be motivated and believe unless you instill that in them as well. So that's what I mean by backing yourself, that you stand over what you're coaching them, that it does work. But you also, as a coach, have to reevaluate stuff yourself. If you see something that's not working, that you're able to go home and say, have a chat with yourself and say, right, that's not working, so I may try something different.
And our understanding of what best practice is has changed over the years. So if you're in coaching for a long period of time, the best way to go about things, even if you're trying your best, will change. So it's important to be receptive to those changes in terms of ideas. It occurs to me, as you say, what coaches need ultimately, if they're going to be fun, if they're going to be prepared, if they're going to invest time in young people there, they have to be personally invested in what they're doing. They have to want to be doing what they're doing, as opposed to, I don't know if it does happen often, people can be talked into doing things, and that's when kids can fall between two stools and drop out of playing sport and being active.
Absolutely. That, you know, if I'm being honest, my first interaction with being a coach was, like, both my girls play football, and I remember being at the club training session one day, and like they were struggling for coaches, and I always loved the element of supporting. I done it through my teenage years when I played team sports. I loved to support my teammates, or if I was injured, I'd still support them. I'd still rock up. I'd still cheer them on. That's massive about supporting as well. That's the thing, that I was on the sideline. I was like, oh, this club is struggling. This age group is struggling, especially ladies football. So I put my hand up. You know, do you want me to give you a hand? Show me what you need me to do. I rocked up one day with a bag of footballs, a bag of cones, and I'd looked up a few little things kind of online that I could do. I remember one little boy, he was an older brother of one of the girls, and he came over and he gave me a hand because he showed me some of the little things he was doing at his training session with the boys. And, you know, things grew from there. That's then where you get involved with your going to do your coaching courses. I remember the first coaching course I done was in 2018 out in Ballinamere, and it was through the LGFA. And I remember thinking, God, this is brilliant. I love to learn. I like to know that if I'm going to do a training session, I've a bag full of stuff that I can do with the kids. They're not going to get bored because I have so many resources. So that's like, there has to be forward thinking in coaching. I'm still not finished. I'm currently doing my award 2 through work. I have to go to Carlow actually on Wednesday, and we're doing all our tactical work pieces, and like, so I'm still learning. And even when I have my award 2 done, I still go to other coaching sessions, belong to other groups, and I learn from coaches there.
So when you first started coaching, when was that?
2017.
Okay, so that was 6-7 years ago. You had gone through most of your life not being a coach. But it strikes me, listening to you speak to us this evening, that you're living, breathing, eating, sleeping this stuff. You must have had this realisation when you first got the cones down on the pitch, or when you first saw the children engaging in your session. Oh, hang on, this is what I've been chasing without realising, or something like that.
Yeah, I will say, I always remember, they say that, do you know that saying that you'll always remember what a coach or a teacher says to you? I remember back in primary school, yes, cross country, where you had to, the teacher would send you out and they'd pick somebody to run for cross country. And I remember going out to run around the park, and I remember the teacher saying to me, will you run cross country? I remember going to run cross country. I'll never forget running through Charleville Castle. Never thought I'd see the end line, but I loved running. I've always been a sporty kind of girl, but I'll always go back to that support. Like, I had great parents, but they didn't know anything about running, sports. I wasn't actually pushed into things. I wasn't like, let's go and try this. So it was always like, if a friend was doing something, that's how you join in. And then in secondary school, I had this really good, he wasn't a PE teacher, but he coached the basketball team. I was too afraid to get involved with basketball because it was all tall people around me, and I felt like I was more of a camogie and a football kind of girl. But we used to go to all the matches, and I would be on the sideline and I would be cheering, and I'd be calling their name and, do this. I'd be listening to what the coach was saying, and I'd be picking up and stuff. And he actually said to me one day, he's like, if there was a role for being like the best supporter, Imelda, you definitely would be one of those. Like, it's just great to hear you cheering them on. I think that's kind of where it came from. And like that with the kids, my first training session, and I went, okay, I need to, get this together now, and I need to do this right, because there's so much potential here. There's so much potential for kids to have fun, for kids to be socially involved, to get active, to be with their friends. Like, there's so many benefits to playing with your club, and it's not all about being the best player or the most skillful player or watch me. And it's not about the David Cliffords, and it's about socialising, being active, being outside, engaging with your friends. And that, wow, when you're leaving the pitch, you get into the car, Mammy, oh, that was just brilliant. That was the best coaching session, or we just had so much fun.
If we're talking about how to coach coaches, or what messages you try to impart, maybe to punctuate what we're talking about this evening, is that if you want to get into coaching young people, the thing to have in your head is to be the best supporter on the pitch or by the sideline that they can have, be it before the game, during the game and after the game. And if you at least do that, that's probably half the battle.
It is, definitely. It's supporting them. Like in any kind of coaching session, you might be coaching them certain drills, you might be coaching them certain skills, but at the end of the day, like, when they're on a playing field or they're playing a game, they only have themselves to work alongside. We can cheer so much from the sideline, but you're also trying to coach them in their sessions, how they work together, how a team works together, so they work it out themselves. And there has to be that element of coaching going up to any age level, that if you're coaching them what you're supposed to be coaching them, they should be able to go out and play that game without anybody on the sideline with the big mad demands.
Oh, look, I mean, it's the worst soundtrack of a GAA match is the hollering from the sidelines for underage games, and hopefully we're on the road to stamping that kind of stuff out. A final point is to bring it back to the big game, the All-Ireland final. What do you think being part of this under-14s Offaly ladies football team means to the young ladies who are going to be going out on that pitch in Leitrim on Saturday afternoon?
Oh, well, this group of girls, like, going off our training session last night, I mean, the buzz is unreal. They really believe in each other. Like, if you see them together, I mean, if a picture or a photo could speak 1,000 words, like, these girls, they all come together at the beginning of a training session. they play their games, they do their skills, their drills, and they come together at the end. They're happy for one another. Even the girls who might not get a bit of game time, this is only just in the final points where they might not get game time, they're still cheering each other on. They're a massive team. Their team support, it's phenomenal. I've never seen anything like it, if I'm being honest, that they all believe in each other and they're all cheering each other on. And they're so looking forward to Saturday week. And Donegal, we did meet them at one stage and they beat us by 2 points. So by God, are we going out there now to show what we are really made of, and we just can't wait. And I know the girls really, really can't wait. They're so excited.
We can't wait to see how they get on. We thank you, Imelda Coughlin, for coming in to us and talking to us on health and fitness. The very best of luck for Saturday week, and congratulations on everything so far.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you.
Next, we're about to meet the first Irish father and son to reach the summit of Mount Everest.
Health and fitness with the all-new Midlands Park Health and Fitness Club, with fitness classes to suit everyone. Experience the warmth at 30 degrees in our dedicated spin studio. Discover all this and more on midlandsparkhotel.com. Midlands 103.
Welcome back to the programme. Micheál and Owen Brogan are members of the Mullingar Hiking Club. Just last week, they became the first Irish father and son to reach the summit of Mount Everest. They joined Midlands 103's Courtney Callahan to talk to us about the achievement of a lifetime.
It never really occurred to me, Courtney, that was a goal that we were trying to achieve. It was pointed out to me by a guy, Paul Devaney from Irish Seven Summits. He was the first one that actually highlighted that we were the first father and son. It sounds strange that it never occurred to me, but it honestly it didn't. We were father and son that were going for it, and I didn't know if it had been done before. It never really occurred until someone mentioned it to us.
And so Mount Everest is on the border between Nepal and Tibet at the crest of the Himalayan mountain chain. So it's the top of the world. So how did it feel to actually reach the peak of the world?
It's something my dad has. Me and my dad have been mountaineering together since I was about 7. Going off to Wales and doing bits, and something he's always drilled into me is that the summit is halfway. When you've got to be thinking about not just when we set off from Camp 4 to get to the summit, you're remembering you've got to get back down there, and then you've also got to get all the way back down to Camp 2 after that within the same day. So you're on the go for, gosh, was it 18 hours?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so once you get there, you're not throwing caution to the wind and thinking, that's that done. You're thinking, I've got, the same amount of time again to get myself off the mountain and out of the death zone. Most accidents happen on the way down. And that's something Dad's always drilled into me. So, and to be honest, it still hasn't sunk in that I've made it.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Like, has it sunk in yet? Like, what are your reflections at this stage?
It's unbelievable, right? I don't know about you, Dad. It hasn't sunk in fully for me yet.
Yeah, it kind of feels a little bit surreal because you move so quickly from the summit back to Camp 2, and then the next day back to base camp, and then the next day you're trying to make your way back to Kathmandu. And suddenly you're back home, and it all seems to happen in a blur over the last week. It feels a little bit surreal. I'm really pleased to hear you talk like that, Owen, about the summit being halfway. It was such an overwhelming experience to be there at the top. We had such perfect conditions. There was no wind. There was a full moon. There was lots of light. We were there just before dawn. But you keep having to remind yourself that actually we're only halfway. You can't get carried away by the moment. You've got to stay in it and keep your wits about you and keep doing everything. Keep doing the right things right constantly to get back down again.
Yeah, because this was a potentially a deadly undertaking due to the extreme altitude, avalanches, ice falls. Like, it's an extreme hazard to climb Mount Everest. What was it like knowing that you were taking such a risk?
You're absolutely right. The risk is constant, and it's there in your mind all the time. We had a great example given to us by our climbing leader David O'Brien. He got to Camp 4. He was going for his 8th summit, and he was there to lead the team. He had a slight problem with his left eye in Camp 4, and immediately decided not to go for the summit at all. He stayed in Camp 4 and waited for us to come down. The margins are so small that you just can't take the risks, and he was a great example to the whole team.
Yeah, I've always said it takes a lot more bravery to turn back than it does to try and stupidly push through if issues arise. And it's, that's a mindset you go into something this treacherous with, in the hopes that it'll that you'll save yourself should something come up that was potentially going to stop you. It's. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's. What do we say? It's 40% luck. Was that the?
Well, there's definitely an element of luck. I think the equation is about 10% luck.
That was it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, luck was definitely on your side when the two of you reached the top of it.
Hey, it was a lot of the perfect conditions we had for Summit Day. That's a lot on the company we went with and the leader particularly. He chose the perfect Summit Day. 3 years on the trot he's done now, picking based on predicting weather patterns and how many other people are going to be on the mountain that day. So we had as much preparation and care given to what we could do as possible, and luck did carry us a bit of the way it always does.
Yeah.
Okay, and as climbers move higher up the mountain, is it right that their oxygen intake is reduced, and then of course your body is going to be increasingly at risk for a number of ailments, so this would naturally enough reduce your ability to breathe in enough oxygen. How did you manage this, or did this affect you?
It definitely does affect you. We were planning to climb with supplemental oxygen, so we were carrying oxygen tanks. We had a certain flow rate agreed, 3 liters per minute. The supplemental oxygen effectively reduces the height that you're climbing at. Some people do attempt the mountain without oxygen, but they're a different breed of climber. The
effects of it were really profound, particularly at Camp 4. We'd be on oxygen for the full 24 hours we were there, and you had to take your mask off for a drink of water or a bite to eat. And you'd be out of breath by the time you'd finished your mouthful. It has an effect on your cognitive abilities, so you've always got to be aware of that, particularly when you're doing strenuous activity, walking up. You're double and triple checking everything, trying to both zone out and get through it, and just think of the next step, and also be hyper aware at the same time. It puts a strain on you physically as well, obviously, but we did everything we could to counteract that.
Yeah, I can imagine it's going to take a mental toll on you, like all of these different effects and ailments that are possibilities that you're going to come across because it's such a big expedition.
Yeah, it's most of mountaineering, I think, is a mental game. It's you'll always have negative thoughts creeping in and doubts on yourself, and can I really do this? And you were walking around there for about 2 months and trying to soldier on and just think about the next step and not the huge task that you've got ahead of you for the coming weeks. It's a real mental strain, but that's sort of in the training, that's something you focus on as well. It's not just the physical, it's trying to train yourself to be able to get in the right mindset and zone out for the longer days and long nights.
I find it.
Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say I having Owen with me on this climb was incredible for the mental side of it. If I ever had negative thoughts, or if I voiced negative thoughts or doubts or concerns, Owen was there to kind of pull me back into the positive frame of mind. It was like my inner monologue having its own voice. Any kind of negativity at all, you try and shut down as quickly as you can. And having my son there to kind of tell me to cop on a couple of times was a huge benefit.
But then at the same time, it's going to be a detriment, isn't it? Having you there to look after, and you having me there to look after. You know, that's one more person to be concerned about.
Definitely,
yeah. So it's a battle as well as a privilege to go together.
I can imagine. So was there any fights on the way up?
No, amazingly, I said this a few weeks in. There's not many people in this world that I could spend 2 months sharing a tent, sharing everything with. I think we did amazingly well to keep each other's spirits up. We had other people complaining about how much laughter was coming from our tent at one point, even. We did pretty well together, I thought. I don't know if you think the same.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think we had a single argument in what was the 8 weeks that we were away. The good thing is in base camp you have your own tent, so there were opportunities to get your own space and be by yourself, but mostly we shared everything, all the tea houses, all the tents higher on the mountain, shared our foods, shared our company, try to keep each other's spirits high. It was I think we benefited a lot from the fact that we climbed together rather than individually.
That's fantastic. And something I've always wondered now is how many people attempt to get to the top of the world. So how many people did you come across on Mount Everest?
There were 421 permits issued on the south side of Everest this year. So that's 421 mainly Western, but also Chinese and Indian climbers. You can double that number because almost everyone will climb with an assigned Sherpa. And then there are other Sherpa included as well. So there's probably 850 people were earmarked to attempt the summit. Not everyone on that list will get to Camp 4. So the maximum number would be about 850. We were so lucky in that the company we were with, their strategy is to go late in the season after all the crowds, after all the bottlenecks, to keep us as safe as we possibly could be. As it turned out, our summit night, we were the only team on the mountain. So when we went up, we didn't encounter any other climbers or bottlenecks or delays on the ropes. But you're meeting people constantly. I met a few other people from Ireland who were there. There's a guide, Robert Smith, who I think he summed it for the 7th time the day before we did. And it's part of the journey. It's you're meeting the Sherpa community in the Solo Khumbu. You're meeting all these climbers from all over the world. It really is part of that trip, that journey.
I just add as well, there's an awful lot of people who are just going to Everest Base Camp. So and that's a big part of the journey is the walk up from Lukla to Namche Bazaar and then up to base. And there were a lot of people that we met that were going up for just that achievement. Obviously it thins out the higher you go.
And can I ask you then, this is a bit more on a different topic, what is your favourite spots in Ireland or even specifically in the Midlands for hiking?
You'd be asking my dad for that one, I think.
I live quite close to the Derry Bay Mountains in Donegal, so even midweek after work, I can drive up and do a training hike on Errigal. I love the Mountain Errigal from whichever route you go up on. But climbing or hiking with the Mullingar hiking group with Ken Delaney there, that group spends a lot of time going to Connemara. So I've discovered Connemara with Ken and the Mullingar group, and it is incredible. It's stunning. There's so many routes there, so many mountains. The people you meet are fantastic. It's such a a mental health boost to go out with a group like that. I could spend weeks and weeks in Connemara, I think.
And lads, I'll finish up by asking you, have you any future ambitions, plans, or any more mad ideas like this?
We spoke briefly about that on the way back. I think over the next couple of weeks, something will come to mind and kind of refocus and maybe plan for the future. But I don't have anything at the minute. I'm just trying to get back to normality.
I've got the 7 summits in my sights. So with Everest is the third I've ticked off the lists.
The Portlaoise Panthers are leading the charge for better sporting facilities for the people of Laois. You'll get the latest on health and fitness next.
Health and fitness with the all-new Midlands Park Health and Fitness Club, where relaxation meets rejuvenation. Find out more at midlandsparkhotel.com.
Midlands 103.
Now, there has been renewed focus on sporting facilities in Portlaoise ever since the Panthers led a charge over the course of I suppose it was January, February, March specifically, culminating in a demonstration involving loads of Laois clubs on St Patrick's Day. The latest turn in this tale is coming up shortly. The Portlaoise Panthers Basketball Club are asking people around the region to attend a special event about a new feasibility study. I'm very glad to say that Jack Scully from the club joins us to talk about this. Jack, this feasibility study and the event on Wednesday next week, you might tell us what it's all about.
Yeah, so last year, in kind of a kind of follow on from our kind of the issues we highlighted last year around the need for this kind of facility in the town. The Portlaoise Panthers Basketball Club, kind of in conjunction with the St Mary's Hall Sports Committee, for this feasibility study to be done. And while there was one done in 2019 by the County Council, this one we feel is much more feasible and is much more reflective of the current needs of the town. Portlaoise is now one of the, if not the fastest growing town in the country. Everywhere you go, there's houses being built, and our worry is that the town has already reached its capacity and reached its limit in terms of sport facilities, and outside your main sports like soccer, rugby, GA, all the other sports don't have somewhere to call home, and that as a result we're turning kids away, and we're not able to provide basketball, and the other clubs are in the same boat. They're not able to provide the sports to the kids that want it, which kind of goes against everything that underage sports should be like. It should be something for everyone. So next Wednesday night is the launch night. We're hoping all the current councillors and all the councillors that are trying to get into the county council attend. They've all been invited, and it's an open invite for everyone. Really, it's a community issue. It's not a basketball issue. While we are, I suppose, the face of it, and we have been the ones kind of pushing it largely, we feel it's a community issue, and we're asking for as many people to come and air their opinion and see what can be achieved. So the feasibility study pretty much lays out a facility that could be built in Portlaoise, and on the night all the details will be given by the company that completed the feasibility study. And I suppose it's just the first step, I suppose, in what we hope is a much bigger process, and one which results in a sports facility to be built in Portlaoise.
Considering that the need is being highlighted now, and the consequences of not having the facility in place right now is being felt by clubs like the Portlaoise Panthers, I presume it's safe to say that it's concerning the amount of time it's going to take to get this thing organised, to get it constructed. We're talking about years and years and years away if people move very quickly now.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're under no illusion. I suppose there is a little bit of frustration from our behalf that the feasibility study was done by the council in 2019, and there has been kind of little to no movement on that since. And of course, we understand it's a massive project, and obviously a massive financial burden, or massive financial cost is involved. But I feel someone from here needs to kind of get their hands around the situation and kind of drive it on, link in with the likes of Basketball Ireland, link in with the likes of Sport Ireland, because they are the NGOs that will need to be involved for a facility like this to be built. like the need is now, but we're under no illusion that this problem isn't going to be solved in the next 12 months. But the sooner better we get started, the sooner better we can achieve what we all hope to achieve, and that is to have a facility in Portlaoise that provides for the youth of the town. And I think in today's world, today's society, it's needed now more than ever, you know.
Yeah, final point then in relation to the two stakeholders you said should be involved to really progress this, Sport Ireland and Basketball Ireland. Basketball Ireland, have you any understanding of the kind of noises they're making in relation to being involved in this project?
Well, they have. In fairness, they did. We reached out to them last year, and they stated that a facility like this is badly needed in the area, and that because of Portlaoise's central location, obviously the motorway is going north, west, south. It would be an ideal location for a facility like this to be built, and that Basketball Ireland could utilise it for international tournaments, national tournaments. You know, because at the moment there is only one court facilities in Portlaoise. We're very limited in what we can actually host. Whereas if we were to be able to get a 2-court facility, which is what we want, the scope of what we could do would vastly increase, you know. But they have been supportive, but they can only do so much. It ultimately will be a Sport Ireland / Laois County Council project. Like, you know, they're the two main people that will have to come together, and obviously for grants and finance and all that stuff, you know.
Well, the event is in St Mary's Hall Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock, and anyone invested in sporting and community practices across Portlaoise and Laois could be well served to get down to support what is really a growing movement highlighting a serious issue. Jack Scully, much appreciate your time.
Great, thanks Dave.
That's the whole shebang on health and fitness for this week. Thank you for your company. The esteemed Joe Cooney follows me with Country Roads after the news at 8. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.